Businesses in Namibia have been finding it tough to stay afloat since the outbreak of COVID-19, hence the need to assist them towards recovery. For this reason, DBN CEO Martin Inkumbi suggests the establishment of a National Equity Fund.
This will be equity investments made by the fund in enterprises. It will not be loans, and therefore equity investment does not force cash flow. There is no immediate requirement for enterprises to start paying back their loans. So this is a form of a patient capital that will allow the enterprise enough time to do business, to grow, to come to a point where it is now able to pay dividends and maybe even repay the equity if it needs to be repaid. That's the main difference, patient capital as opposed to debt.
Since the start of the pandemic, the financial sector has deployed numerous measures to reduce enterprise weaknesses due to COVID-19. These include, among others, repayment holidays, grace periods, additional finance for operational costs, and extension of repayment periods to reduce the monthly cost of interest on enterprises. These measures are, however, only deemed effective over a short period of time between 6 to 12 months of a depressed economic cycle. Giving additional loans to borrowers, even as a temporary relief measure, has also not proven as a viable solution for all limping businesses impacted by COVID-19.
In a depressed economic situation like where we are now, if a business is not generating enough revenue and therefore it's not able to meet its operational expenses, so giving more loan to that business is causing more problem because the business is not going to be able to generate enough money to pay that loan in the medium term. And that is the challenge. And therefore, the difference is that if additional funds is given to that business in the form of equity, in other words, patient capital, there is no need for that business to start concerning itself with the immediate repayment of that loan. It gives it a little bit more time, and it allows time until business environment has improved and the business is now able to generate a level of income that will enable it to first meet its operational expenses and pay any loans that it has taken. So additional loans to businesses in an economy that is depressed is suffocating enterprises more than helping them really.
But who will be the main stakeholders and the source of funds?
I think some of the key players will obviously be the state, government, the private sector, obviously. But to come to the actual practical implementation of the equity fund, I would like to believe the government can take a center stage to lead the establishment of such an equity fund, to perhaps even provide seed capital. But I do think that the majority of the funding can be raised by issuing, for example, bonds in the local market. And this capital can then be used to be managed by selected equity investment specialists who are able to evaluate the prospects and potential of enterprises that could then benefit from such an equity fund.
The most likely beneficiaries of the fund are borrowers who have experienced headwinds prior to the onset of COVID-19 due to economic slowdowns, but who were able to service their debts even if they are still in persistent arrears on their repayments. Other likely beneficiaries are borrowers who were successful and were able to service their debts but were still challenged by the onset of COVID-19 lockdowns, which hampered business activities and revenues. The recovery of the funded businesses is not expected to be instant, but will gradually happen in the medium to long term. Timo Andreas, NBC News, Windhoek.